Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you for joining. I got a root canal yesterday, 2 root canals yesterday, actually. So I do not feel great, but we're going to get through it. Today's podcast is brought to you by hydrocodone. Are you recovering from dental surgery? Are you okay with only 50% of your brain working? Try painkillers. I finally got a root canal done, 2 root canals done. It was supposed to only be 1, but because I waited so long, it turned into 2. And that's a lesson in taking care of yourself. Now, moving forward, I am going to get my teeth cleaned every 6 months. No more of this, I'm afraid of dentists, I don't deserve to go to the dentist, or whatever I was telling myself. It got me into a position where now I don't know. I don't put your health to the wayside. It'll always come back. You will always have to pay that bill. You'll always have to figure it out unless you die, which I always just kind of saw as like the other option that was going to happen. But alas, my body persists for almost 31 years now. So got to take care of that shit. And it sucks. Okay. I am in recovery from that. I have a show in Nashville this weekend I'm excited about. So if you're listening to this on Saturday, I will be in Nashville one night only doing a show and coming back. So that's an exciting update in my life. And that's about it. I am unable to concentrate, unable to feel like I'm doing a good job right now because, yes, I'm on painkillers, but also Joe is behind me and I feel like I can hear him snickering as I'm trying to do my job. So if I'm watching back being like, why does this suck? It's because Joe's behind me and I feel his eyes on me. Okay. What I want to do, I almost want to start over because I feel like this intro was so bad and I realized that my face was probably drooped really low and that makes me look older. I'm also not wearing any makeup and I feel like shit and now I feel like I'm going to cry. So I don't want to stop. I just want to keep going. I want to get this fucking over with. And we'll go into what I want to go through at the top of the podcast and then we'll introduce our guest. Okay. So what I want to go through right now is a video posted by Remy Bader. Remy is a TikTok influencer personality that I brought her up a week or 2 ago on the podcast when I was talking about the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I brought her up. And the reason why I'm bringing her up again this week is because she posted a very emotionally charged TikTok the other day that I want to go through. Now, if you don't know who Remy Bader is, she became famous, really. She became popular because of these realistic try-on hauls. So she would buy something, she would like order a bunch of clothes from free people that she thought would fit her and would put them on and, show like how they absolutely did not fit her. So she is a plus size influencer. And yeah, we're going to go through this TikTok right now of what she posted.
Okay, so I really try to not look at the really mean things online the best that I can because it really saves my mental health by not looking at it. But there's some things that like come up in my comments that I can't not see. And there's been a ridiculous amount lately of just like the body shaming and saying things I already know. Like I don't need to hear it again.
I just want to pause. That's my biggest fear. I think that's the thing I hate most about posting. And I'm a nobody. Nobody knows who I am. So I don't get a lot of it at all, really. But anytime I do see something about people saying something about my weight, mean comments in general suck. Like, obviously you don't want to hear that you're not funny or that you're annoying. But the ones about the way that you look never feel good.
So like saying things like it's like how much bigger I got and how much weight I've gained and how unhealthy I look and whatever it is. So I've definitely changed my mind because I really was, felt like it was helpful to other people that I care about or don't know and still care about to help by sharing my health journey and what I'm doing for myself with the world, because I think that that could be helpful with people going through similar struggles. But I decided tonight that I'm no longer going to do that.
So I just want to say that in the years that Remy has been posting, it definitely has helped me. Like, because I think in, my personal journey of losing, gaining weight, I've always sort of had this feeling of like, this is going to sound stupid, but no matter what weight I was at, I always felt like the clothes and standard size stores never fit me, which in looking back, I realized that that was very much dysmorphic of me, until it wasn't. But it was nice seeing someone who had the fashion sense of Remy, and the build that she does and the weight that she does, try on clothes from Free People or Anthropologie and be like, how does someone that looks like me, like I'm not morbidly obese. I am so upset that I don't feel like I'm saying that correctly. But I'm not like, she's not 1,000-pound sisters type fat. Like, why can she not go to a store and like, I don't know, find a nice outfit? Like whenever I compliment my friend on something she's wearing and she's like, thanks, it's from Revolve, I just like smile and nod, because it's like Revolve, like they hate that I exist. Like the Revolve is never a store that I could go to. And so it's fun the way that Remy would have these TikTok videos of her, trying on a haul from Revolve and being like, okay, you said this was a size 16, and like literally I can't get, like, no, this doesn't fit. And I don't know, I think maybe it's only something that you can resonate with if you are in a bigger body, but that was always something that I really appreciated about Remy, and also just her openness about gaining weight through this journey of trying to conquer the eating disorder or disorders that she has, and being very public about it, because we have seen Remy at various weights. Like we've seen her skinnier than where she is now. We've seen her bigger than when we initially met her, and she's really cool and really open. And I think that if you are somebody that is going through eating disorder recovery and you're going through that step of reworking or rewiring your relationship with food and you do end up gaining weight from it, it's really cool to see somebody in the public eye not letting them stop themselves, like still feeling like they're worthy of wearing nice clothes, looking nice. Because personally, I've always just dressed like a 60-year-old woman, partly because it was my grandma in her 60s and 70s taking me shopping, and so she kind of just dressed me like her. But like, I always remember wearing like shoulder pads from even middle school age because it makes your waist look smaller. And she didn't dress or style herself like that. Like she wears clothes that like highlight her belly, and like, she's not hiding her arms. Finnegan, please, I'm trying to do a podcast. Yeah. So that, yeah. So I just wanted to say that. So what she's saying in the video is that, she was open about this, and now she's sort of closing the door on that.
My health journey will now be my business. What I choose to do, whether that's gain or lose weight, medications I take, supplements I take, my workout routine, whatever it is, I'm not going to share. So, I do the best I can with like, I want to, and that's who I am. And that's why I'm on social media, is share with the world everything going on in my day to day, because I feel like that's just so true to me. But I don't know why it's even allowed online. Shaming someone in the way they look and how every single day is so disgusting. And so it's like, if I'm already taking care of myself and working on the things I need to work on, imagine seeing that every fucking day over and over and over, and in a horrible way. You know, you're not, the people that are saying it aren't people that want good for me. You can pretend you want good for me, but it's actually people that just want the worst for me, and it's just fun for them to keep making fun of me and do it publicly. So I've made that decision. I know a lot of you, especially my Q&As and whatever it is, like, are always asking about my health journey, want me to share. I share openly what medications I'm on with my anxiety medicine and things that haven't worked for me in the past. Like, I've like shared a freaking lot with a lot of people that I don't need to. And I do that because I care, but I'm now going to do what's best for me, and I'm going to keep that to myself. And any questions that anyone has about my health or my weight or my journey, unless you are a close friend of mine and genuinely care about me, you're not going to know that.
AKA, she's going to go on Ozempic. Like, this is where we've pushed this woman. She feels so bad about herself. And I know that she's talked about going on Ozempic before in the past and how she went on it. And, you know, Ozempic did its thing until eventually she went off, and it made her binge eating disorder even worse. So maybe it is a little bit callous of me to just assume, yeah, she's going to go back on this. She's going to go on Ozempic because she is in eating disorder recovery. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised when she pops up 50 pounds lighter, you know, by next spring. Because, and I don't blame her. She's a public person. She didn't ask to be the face of, you know, plus size fashion, but here she is, and she's doing a really good job at it, and she's being tortured, and no one deserves to be tortured. Like, society just, you know, pushes your face into shit, and so that you just fold into submission. If I was this girl and I was having my body critiqued all the time, I would be like, fuck you, I'm going on Ozempic, I'm losing a bunch of weight, and I'm not telling you how I did it, because you've lost that right. I was open with you about my health journey, and it's been weaponized and used against me.
So I just had to say that before I go to sleep tonight, because it's really, it's very, very hard. It's really hard to see this every single day. And like, it's really not fair to just see really mean things. Like, I'm taking care of myself the best I can. And I really am asking the people, even if you don't like me or follow me out of a hate follow, to just stop commenting on my body. You can comment about my character or whatever you think of me as a person, or I'm annoying or whatever it is, but please just stop commenting on my body, because I'm doing everything I can to make myself feel better. And I just need, and I'm not gonna share anymore with you guys. It's just my decision.
Yeah. So obviously it's very damaging to her mental health, and it's been seemingly torturous. You know, she was just in the press a lot for Fashion Week, and I think it kind of all came to a head. Because here's the thing, when you're in a position like Remy Bader is, she gets hate from both sides. So let's say she's, you know, just being herself, living in a fat body, you know, doing her thing. You have the people that hate hate themselves, and so they're cruel on the internet, because that's where you can be most cruel, because it's, you know, a faceless crime, so to speak, when you're the perpetrator. And so, you know, she's getting it from that angle of people telling her that she's disgusting, commenting on her body, giving her unsolicited advice, all of that. And then she could post a TikTok where she is talking about wanting to exercise more, and that, you know, she's done sort of being sedentary and wants to, you know, move more. And I saw she had posted some workouts with her boyfriend. And the people that support her then sort of get on the defensive and write like backhanded compliments in a way on videos like that, where her supporters will comment on the fact that she is working out and it not being a good thing because you have a whole camp of people in the body positive, body neutrality movement who think that losing weight is fat phobic. And so now you have these people that you've amassed as followers are now turning against you because you've decided to be public about, wanting to exercise more in the hope that it causes you to lose weight. And so I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be someone like her who is on this complicated health journey where she is wanting to be comfortable with herself and wanting to lose weight, but also be happy with who she is. And, I wouldn't, that sucks. And it's great that she has this following because, having this following has become a form of income for her and has gotten her into different events socially that maybe she wouldn't have gotten into before, whatever. And so that's all great. But the other side of it is how you are on display. And I'm not saying I have no horse in this race on whether Remy is a nice person or a good person or a mean person or a bad person. But she said it herself, comment about my character. Please stop commenting about my body. And I don't think that people can exist in the comment section not commenting on people's bodies. I think if you have a propensity to do that and you don't do that, maybe you'll just completely implode because people don't seem to stop. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to go over and talk about. Okay, subscribe to I Feel Fat Today on YouTube. Like and comment on the videos. There, as always, full video episodes there. Go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. And send us an email at ifeelfattoday@gmail.com if you want to give feedback about the show or ask for some advice. And follow us on Instagram at ifeelfattoday. And you can follow me, your host, at Hello, This is Kelly. Okay, our guest this week. Wow, what a great episode. I had my friend on who is a very talented writer and stand-up comedian. We had a really great conversation about aging and just depression, and it's a whole lot of fun. Please welcome my guest this week, the very funny Maximilian Spinelli. You done? We're going. Did you get blood work today?
I did. I went to the doctor for the first time forever.
Oh, that's right. We discussed this.
Uh-huh.
Well, we don't have to talk about your visit. That's okay.
I would love to.
Did he take your height and weight?
He did.
By far the worst part of the exam. Well, I don't know, because I don't have to get my prostate checked.
Well, they had me. You know what was a fun trick that they played? Are we recording?
We are recording.
Why am I doing? I'm doing that classic. Are we recording? Wait, has it started?
Yeah, no, we're going.
Black box is gone. Is this going on YouTube?
Yes, it is going on the
tubes. Full up?
Yeah, full up. I use the animals for views.
Me too. This is great.
Yeah.
Do they like them on YouTube?
Yeah.
I love them.
My 5 viewers.
Well, God bless.
Yep.
Hey, how we doing out there? Sound off in the comments if you think Barnabas should get on top and do a bunk bed situation.
Crazy.
Sorry, you were saying, the fun little trick that they play on you is because my first appointment, primary care doctor, I got him, and they have you put your own weight, and then they weigh you.
Oh, see if you're lying.
Bait and switch.
So they I guess now in the doctor's office they want to make sure you're not obese and you're not a liar.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're not full of shit.
Yeah, totally.
I was off, but
hey.
God bless.
Who owns a scale these days?
I don't. Well, sometimes I'll do it at Equinox just for kicks.
Oh yeah, at Equinox. Be like, I lost 2 pounds during that workout.
During that sweat.
Absolutely, fantastic. Oh man, well Max, thank you for coming on.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Let's do this.
Excited.
Are we going to use these witch cards?
No, but those are. Oh, you're gonna love me for this.
What is it?
That's just out. But those are My Chemical Romance inspired witch cards.
No,
yeah.
It's a My Chem tarot set.
It's a My Chem tarot set. There was an artist on Twitter that was doing a limited run of them.
That's amazing.
And I ordered them a year ago, and they finally came in
Because
they are custom. Don't worry.
But what is it, like the band members or characters from their music videos?
Well, they're like a very visual band. Like they have different eras where it's like they have a lot of imagery associated with each era. So like some of it is like album art and other parts of it are just like, like knives to like there's like lyrics where like they're,
They have a witchy
knife.
lore.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have a
They
witchy
definitely like a gothic lore.
Hell yeah.
So they're really cool. Maybe on the Patreon, I'll do some tarot readings or something
Hell
with
yeah.
my chem set.
I've
They
only
really
had
are
my
cool.
tarot read once by a witch I dated years ago, and the final card was the devil, and then she dumped me.
Oh, Joe, tarot is how Joe and I started our budding romance, because I had a party here, which I think you were at. It was a Thanksgiving party.
I very well may have.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was the best super spreader event I've ever been to. No one
top
actually,
5 at least.
no one actually said they got COVID from the event.
That's great.
But we were all young, healthy 20-year-olds at the time, and
We couldn't get it, Fauci.
yeah, and we were vaccinated or whatever. And so Joe was like hanging around, and he saw tarot cards that I had
No one
out.
invited him, to be clear.
No, it was one of those like Project X open invite
Oh, hell
type
yeah.
things. And he came with a friend of a friend.
Wow.
And so
was this
then
on Thanksgiving?
this was on Thanksgiving.
Oh, so it was like when it was like nobody could. Was it 2020? Thanksgiving 2020?
For the record, no.
Okay.
But,
Sorry, I forgot I'm on this side of the camera. That's I used the wrong eye.
A few friends came over. But a lot of people hadn't gone home that year, obviously.
Right. I don't think I was here because I moved to Connecticut right around that time.
Oh, that's
For
right.
6 months. I did 6 months in Connecticut.
That was the worst 6 months of my life.
Honestly, I was just like baking like a little butterfly. in
Yeah.
Connecticut.
A little closer to the mic, a little closer to your mouth.
Well, I'm like I've never podcasted before.
It's a little, we kind of just jumped right into it, and
I'm-
the animals are kind of.
I feel also at home. You know what I mean? I don't feel
Totally.
like.
Yeah. I find some people bare their souls a little bit more than they intended to, because the couch gives it a therapist office vibe.
Well, it's like I'm sitting on this very comfortable couch. These two little guys. I'm distracted. I'm disarmed. It's like the
Yes.
BuzzFeed puppy interviews.
That's
You
like
remember
my
those?
whole. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely,
I'll tell you my social security if you want it.
totally. I'll get that after. But you did have to go home during the pandemic, so I don't know if it'll get me far.
It won't. It will not.
But anyways, so yeah, Joe he made me think that he like thought tarot wasn't bullshit. So
He tricked you.
He tricked me, yeah.
And did you read in his tarot that he was full of shit?
No, but I did read in his tarot that he would be moving to the city away from where he was currently living, and he did in fact do that. Or
Wow.
no, he was living in Harlem, I think, at the time, and I was like, I think you have a move coming. He was like, I was thinking of moving to Brooklyn.
Were you flirting with him? Were you like, this
No,
card says
Joe
you're
was
gonna
like-
sit on my face?
No, like Joe was like, it was just like, I don't know. I just always saw him as a friend,
Good.
and then
Did you hear that?
And then I just eventually it kind of just turned into like, well, if he asked me out, I'll say yes.
Wow.
So lucky for him, he did.
Wow.
And his life was forever changed for the better,
And yours?
We're hanging in.
I love your joke where if like you're talking about like the modern man. Well,
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
mention that the modern man is addicted
Yeah,
to marijuana.
pretty addicted to marijuana.
That's so funny.
Thank you.
I felt that in my bones.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But okay, yeah, so you're from Connecticut and
Yes.
you have siblings, right?
I do have 2 older
Oh,
siblings.
you're the baby.
I'm the baby.
You are the baby. How much older are your siblings?
2 years to my brother, and then 2.5 more years to my sister.
Okay, so like it is a good spacing. Like the
Yeah.
three of you felt more like a unit than if you had more like separation.
I think my sister and I probably have the most differences out of the only ones with
Yeah.
like actual differences, but like it's still negligible. Like we still like grew up in the same house.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not like
absolutely.
I feel like it was like right on the cusp.
Yeah.
Because like we all went to the same like grammar school or middle school. It was one of those Catholic
Oh,
pre-K to 8 situations. So like I went to school with my sister until I was in whatever 3rd
Yeah.
grade, and then I we pass each other.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, my older brother and I are only 2 years apart, and just the way our age, like our dates of birth fell, we ended up being only a year apart. So like if he was in second, I was in first.
Right.
And so it was like I had K through high school essentially, like
Right.
K through 12, like in the same building.
1 year behind. Or
Only
what?
one, only
year
one,
ahead.
only 1 year behind. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
We had a real disdain for each other, and then we got to college and became friends.
That's good. You need to
Yeah.
get away from each other.
Yeah. Then I have my younger brother who it's like it kind of feels like he had more of an only child upbringing because when he was in his like formative teenage years, Frank and I were off to college.
Right.
You know? So
Frank is such an older sibling name.
I know. He
my
really
mom's
is.
oldest brother, Frank.
Oh yeah.
Frank's the
But the
oldest. What's your name?
difference
The
between-
the oldest.
The difference between us is that you're actually Italian. Like,
Yeah.
like there is no Italian
You
in my
have
family.
a lot of Italian energy, though.
People say that,
You
and
do.
like I think it's the jersey, to be honest.
Honestly, but that's part of it. That's like
Yeah.
it's kind of one of
It's kind of Italian by association.
Italian by association.
And I do like really what's the word? Like I do relate to a lot of like like I'm watching Real Housewives of New Jersey. I'm
Of
on
course.
a rewatch of the entirety of the franchise, and there are a lot of things that even like with the holidays where it's like even though we are Polish,
Mhm.
Irish, it's like kind of the same in just like
Snooki
the
was
minutia.
Persian, right?
Peruvian, but she was
Peruvian.
adopted by an Italian family.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's how they get you.
Yeah.
Should I be facing you, or what? Do you like this?
No, this is perfect.
This is what we
Yeah,
like.
this
I
is
play the
perfect.
camera.
Yeah, play it like and like the way I like to do it is like body face front
Right.
and like kind of just
Crane
like
that neck.
swivel. Yeah, just swivel the head, or you could ignore the camera completely.
I'm gonna pretend it's not
Yeah,
there.
I mean you are. Come on, you're a doll in front of the camera.
No,
You have to
I
really.
can't. I'm playing the camera. I can't help it.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're the baby of the
Yes.
family. Does maybe that explains this just like confidence that I feel you have? Is it all facade? Are you as confident as you come off as?
The older I get, the less of a facade it is.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it was like almost like in your formative teenage 20 years.
Yeah, it was definitely false.
It was like
I
I'm
think
putting this
college it started becoming more real, but still there was like I just was just like ignoring underlying anxiety, which I just like which went unchecked in high school, and then as an adult, once you start actually like approaching it, then all of a sudden it's easier.
That's true. That's true. And I think also when we're teenagers and in our 20s and we're, feeling insecure and trying to come off very confident, it's we can turn to things like unhealthy coping mechanisms,
Right, for
like
sure.
alcohol
Right.
or, trying to like do the longest cake stand to be the coolest or whatever.
Wait, did you go to school with me? Wait.
What like groups did you roll in college?
In college, I was. They called me a friend whore. I was the guy that
you
like when we
played
got to
the
the party,
field.
dap everybody
Yeah,
up. You know
everyone
what
knew
I
your
mean?
name.
I was the priest at the mock wedding. I really,
yeah.
I really came into my own socially.
Yeah. Thank God for that.
Thank God. That's what changed to the state of Connecticut. Really put it on the map. But yeah, so it was like everybody, but like my closest friends were like a lovable pack of weirdos. Anytime I find a lovable pack of weirdos,
Yeah.
those are like my closest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
An eclectic group.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Cool. Okay. So you're saying as you get older, you're feeling more secure, more confident in yourself. Why do you think that is? Just because like I've been there, done that. I know who I am, or is it like based off of
It's for sure those two
milestones?
things, but also it's a lot of therapy and medication.
Oh, hell yeah. That's great. I love that. When did the therapy start?
I started therapy right when I started comedy. Same time. I started
Oh.
comedy like I started like actually like trying comedy, like doing it.
Yeah,
When,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
When you make this flip the switch and you're like, okay, now I'm doing
This
this.
is what I'm doing.
I did that. I finally started like a month or two after I started therapy, which was like I was like 25.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was 25 as well when
Yeah.
I started.
Mm-hmm.
And medication. I
And
love
medication.
that.
Medication. I started like a year or so into therapy, stopped, and then this year got back into the game. I went pro again, and it's good to be here. What, are they pissed at each other?
I could just sense that trouble was
They were
afoot.
about to fight?
And so I was like, let's just move this.
I wasn't even paying attention to Barnabas. Barnabas? What is he?
Babastus. Barnabas, like the hospital. Did you go to Barnabas? Is that why?
I've never been.
Well, hopefully you never have to. Okay, so back on the medication train. We love that. We love that for you. I got off this year, and I
You're
love
off
that
of it.
for me. Yeah.
How do you feel?
It was, I wouldn't wish the come down on like my worst enemy, to be honest.
They wean, no? Did you do cold turkey? That's
I
like
had to do-
famously the one
yeah.
thing they tell you not to do.
Yeah, it ended up being a cold turkey situation, but it was because insurance was like
Oh,
messed up.
yeah.
And so like I had to literally stop cold turkey.
So
because
you don't
like,
want to be off.
At the time,
What's happening here?
he is trying to pull the attention away from you.
He's pissed at.
So this is what we're
He's
doing.
a star. Look at him.
Yeah. He is my therapy dog. Though.
Here,
A therapy
Barnabas,
dog
come
with-
over. You can come sit on me.
Nah, he's like, I'm good.
Okay, bye.
At the time, I had been on it for like 5 years. And at the time, it kind of felt like I had been thinking about getting off. And so it was like, maybe this is just like the kick in the butt that I needed. And by the time like the insurance worked itself out, I was already like a month off of it. And I was like, well, I'm not going
Cold
back
turkey.
now. And I just
Yeah.
sort of like braced myself for it being
How long was the
bad.
whiplash?
I would say it was probably 3 good months of like mood swings and brain zaps.
Right, yeah. What's a brain zap?
It's just when like you literally get the feeling like you're getting shocked in your
I've definitely
brain.
had that.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And I wouldn't recommend getting off medication unless you feel like you're in a space to do it. And I was sort of adjusting the therapy I was doing. I had the same therapist, but we started doing more intense work that I felt like the Lexapro sort of like didn't let me, I wasn't able to feel my emotions as that I
Right.
should have been.
Were you on like heavy dose?
I was on 20 milligrams, which I think is the high. I don't know. It might maybe people go higher on
Of
Lexapro.
what, Lexapro?
Yeah.
I'm a Prozac man, so
You're
I
a
don't know
Prozac baby.
the
Totally.
difference. Because Wellbutrin, it's like $1.20 is like normal.
Yeah,
like not a
normal,
lot.
yeah.
Because I used to take 10 Prozac and then also like 150 of Wellbutrin, and I was like, what's
okay.
going on here?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
understand science,
and
I don't pretend to.
And here's the thing about medication. It is such a cocktail of like trying to figure out what
works.
for you because
Right.
we're all different and whatever. So,
And the fact that they don't fully understand how they work.
yeah.
Which I'm glad I had a psychiatrist that was like, listen, I'm giving you Prozac. It's been
Yeah.
around forever. We know it's not. We know like what it does long term. And
Yeah.
he was like, we don't know how it works, but it does.
Yeah.
And that's that.
So what was like the impetus of getting on the medication? Like, so you got yourself into therapy. A year later, your therapist broaches the topic of medication.
Well,
or
I had suicidal ideations.
little SI.
Yeah, a little SI. And then they were getting more and more severe to where she had suggested it, being like, you know, she did a good job, a slow
Yeah.
burn of it. She was never kind of like, I think it should be a thing. But then
Yeah.
she would bring it up once in a while when things got like super dark.
Right.
Just being like, that's an option. And like, obviously I was like, I don't want to stop being funny or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But
Stupid little things.
yeah, because I've found that the more healing I'm doing, the funnier I'm becoming because I'm
Right.
not trying
For
to
sure.
hide aspects of myself. I'm not trying to be a fake confident. Like I'm
Right.
literally getting to the confidence that you need to like, I don't know, just be your authentic self. And that's something I always struggled with. I never knew who I was.
I love that sentiment because it's like such a thing. Authenticity is like the most important thing to me. Write it down. Put it on a fucking pillow.
Something
You
interesting
pigs.
about me. Something interesting about me is that I really value authenticity.
Something about me is I keep it 100. That's something that I like to do. Sorry, haters.
Amazing.
I very much agree, and like I've been on the same journey. Like
Yeah.
I've always wanted to. I didn't want to fall into the sad clown trope, which was happening. You know what I mean? And, like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel like I was performing ever. Like you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
when you're
absolutely.
socially performing and like.
Oh yeah.
Like I find that was like my main goal for a lot of it. Also in the stop wanting to kill yourself. portions, but that was also like kind of like being me all the time, which I feel like I finally am, which is like great. Yeah,
that's great. I love that, and I think that people can relate to it. Like, because I feel like when people don't, maybe they are more now, but I feel like you don't really hear people casually being like, "Oh, I had suicidal ideations," when like I'm at a place with all of that where it's like, sneezing is a symptom of a cold. Like suicidal ideation is a symptom of depression.
Yeah.
Like
it's
like
an illness.
It's just an illness.
It's also, it's like nowadays too. It's like these TikTok girlies.
Oh my God,
They're like 23, suicidal ideation, Gemini.
yeah, literally.
Shout out May Planet. I think she has a joke like that. that's a Planet original.
I promise you, I cannot get through an episode of I Feel Fat Today without mentioning May. I promise you.
She's a star. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a fan.
And she is the emotional benefactor of this podcast. Literally, we would not be doing this right now if it wasn't for her being like, "What are you doing? You need to do your podcast."
Thank you, May Planner. And thank you for investing. This podcast is brought to you by May Planner.
Yes. Follow her on Instagram and watch her episode. She is episode 1 of the pod.
And that never came back?
No, but I mean, we're only on week, what is it? Like, we're within the 20 weeks, like between week like 18, 20.
You take your time with this, right? Like
it's every week.
It's every week?
Yep.
I feel like, but like, didn't you start until like 2020? Or did you go on a long hiatus?
I went on a long hiatus.
Yeah, okay.
Those episodes are going to, the early episodes are no video, and they're going to soon be behind a paywall. Yeah.
The forgotten
the
tapes.
before tapes.
The lost files.
The lost files. They are, if you go to Apple Podcasts currently.
Right.
They are there. I just literally need to like download them and remove them. And it's just.
Is there something wrong with his ass, or is he doing this for our
benefit?
He
just does this. Yeah. He does need to get groomed. I think he's just itchy.
I can't itch back there, my guy.
I know.
I'm sorry.
And he doesn't even want you to, because if you did, he would nip at you.
Well, I'm not going to stick my nail up his ass.
Yeah, that's a mom's job. Anyways. Yeah, I think
I can touch these little bear ears, though.
Yeah.
I like those.
This is a visual podcast.
Sorry, listeners.
People
Better subscribe.
People are driving and they're like, "What? What is happening?"
If you're missing out on Finney being real cute right now.
Yeah, he kind of can't help himself.
Ooh,
amazing.
That's good. Sorry, you were saying.
The early iteration of the podcast was just me for like 30 minutes, and by myself,
having a breakdown.
At times.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh wow, and I think
that was during the pandemic too.
It was during the pandemic. Oh. I was living alone.
Oh.
And it was kind of like
living like a king. Truly. You had one of the finest pandemic setups.
I really did.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a good setup now. It's just there's like more boy here than I ever really wanted.
There's a whole lot of man.
Yeah, a whole lot of man. But luckily that man is like, a PlayStation and some black T-shirts. It's not much.
That's great. And you're talking about Finney?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just felt like, wow, I'm really exposing a lot of myself, and I'd rather have people on the podcast so they can expose themselves.
Yes, and I do love that. I love exposing myself.
Yeah, so that was that. Okay, so that's cool. Got on medication, did therapy. So when was like the earliest you remember of like having an insecurity?
Oh, wow, that's so interesting. I love this question. Have you heard that audio on TikTok?
Yeah.
I love this question. Thank you so much for asking. That's so interesting. I don't know. Probably young. I feel like young.
Yeah.
I feel like the answer would for sure be at least middle school, right? Or maybe even. I don't have a lot of memories. That's my problem.
Okay. Therapy will help with that.
Therapy, I feel like I actually am remembering more nowadays.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have a fuller picture,
and
I'm able to look at things like without it being like all bad or all good.
Yeah,
kind of I have more memories of the gray, which is nice.
Absolutely.
But that being said, I don't have that many memories. I definitely have been. I definitely remember in grammar school, like being insecure about stuff.
Being insecure in middle school. So like, what was like your extracurriculars? Were you a soccer kid? Were you a sports kid? Were you a play kid?
I was a soccer kid.
Okay.
Travel soccer, Blue Shout out. Where are my Stormies?
The iconic.
The iconic. You remember? Don't sleep on the team. I did that. We also had like tennis courts on our street.
Okay.
We were the only street in the block, so they weren't private, but they were public. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to admit it.
That's embarrassing.
Humiliated. And what other extracurriculars? Oh, karate. Did a lot of karate.
Oh, you were a karate
I was a karate kid. Yeah, they had us. We were fucking athletes, bro.
Okay, karate, a little bit of a performer.
I was. Oh, that was an art. I have to
Yeah.
tell you. Let me tell you something. I was known for dogging it. I wasn't exactly I wasn't a
Absolutely.
trier, especially
Yeah.
at soccer. I wasn't killing myself running
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
You
Like
had
I
more
had
of a-
nothing to prove out there.
Yeah. You were bearing your soul on
Let's
the
just
field.
say I knew I wasn't the fastest, and I wasn't trying to fix that.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the karate stuff, when there was like a belt thing and the parents were there,
Yeah.
it was more of a
Oh,
performance.
Oh, yeah.
I put on a show.
Absolutely.
I put on a show.
Oh, you were a little showman if I ever saw one. Amazing.
Oh, TBT. And now-
Destined for the stage.
Destined. Look at me now.
Yeah, look at you now.
Look at me now. On the couch.
Amazing. Okay, so what question was I gonna have? That you don't really. A lot of people I talk to, myself included, have this feeling of like I don't really remember my childhood. I don't
Yeah.
really, and I don't. Were we bored? Like I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It kind of all blends in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's also, I'm very much the kind of person though, like if you're like, what are your 3 favorite movies? I have a stroke. My brain has a stroke. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't remember if a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah,
or anything.
I've
Like,
never watched a movie.
I've never seen a film. Like,
Yeah.
what's your favorite food? I'm like, I don't actually eat. That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing about me.
Yeah, I can't like conjure things up
Same.
when I'm like thrown those kinds of
Yeah,
questions for
like,
some reason.
You go on you're on a deserted island. You need 3 things. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm
my
like-
iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I
I
can't.
just throw open my mouth. and
Yeah,
all
I
that.
can't handle it. So we bumped into each other yesterday at a friend's party, which I didn't know you were doing Make-A-Wishes. So that's
That
so
was
kind.
that was an appearance.
Yeah,
that was a
was.
paid appearance. You're welcome.
Yeah. And we had a lovely walk home from the party. And you laid a question on me right before we were departing, which was very funny and apropos of the podcast. And so I'm so glad that we can talk about it. But you asked me if after hitting 30, did I fall into a slight depression?
Right.
And it got me thinking about it. And really, the depression for me is like it's not age related.
Right.
It's always just kind of been like this anxiety, this depression that I didn't know was that.
For sure.
And so I want to ask you about this because for me, when it comes to aging, I was thinking about this. I have had such issues my whole life of not liking who I was, not liking the body I was in,
Right.
and feeling so extreme about that when it comes to aging, I have so much malice towards myself when it comes towards the way that I look that I don't have the energy to have an opinion really about my age.
Wow.
So I've always been fine with getting older,
Right.
because getting older for me, it's like
low on your list.
it's low on my list and almost like a higher priority on like the good things that are going to happen to me. Because like when I was a teenager, I always wanted to be 18 because there were like, I thought like when I'm 18, like I'll be able to get into, music venues that are 18 plus, like, and then of course, turning 21, like I just want to be able to get into bars and not have to think about
Right.
it. So I always saw getting older as like a plus for me. And it wasn't until I hit 30 that I started noticing the things that people talk about with aging, like being in, like doing my makeup and having to adjust the way I do my eyeliner because all of a sudden the hoods of my eyes are a little bit more droopy than they ever were.
Right.
So like little things like that are creeping up where I am like, oh man, getting older sucks, which only in the last year have I felt this.
For sure.
But I'm such a birthday girl. Like I really get excited
Same.
about my You really are. I love that for you. And I've always been very fond of my birthday and just happy for another year. I also think energetically I like the idea of a fresh start. And so like I always look at each birthday of
love that.
okay, like let's do a tarot spread and see what the year ahead is. And I like those sort of times.
Are you a New Year's girly?
No, I'm October.
No, New Year's. Like, do you like New Year's? Like,
Oh.
do you also like do the same thing that you do on the birthday also at New Year's, or do you save it for the birthday?
I save it for the birthday because it's less pressure.
Right.
The New Year for me makes me a little bit too anxious.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh, tax season's coming, you know.
On Jan 1?
Yeah, I think I have like some like
Somebody traumatized you
trauma.
about taxes.
Yeah, no.
Was
like,
there tax fraud in the family?
I traumatized myself with taxes. Me,
Yeah.
I'm the tax
You're
frauder.
the tax.
No,
Are
I'm
you-
not. I'm caught up. Okay.
Are you terrified every time you submit that you're like, they're gonna get me?
So I am. What is it? An ostrich that will bury their head in the sand and let just ignore everything around them.
For sure.
When-
Executive function. You suck.
Executive
Yeah.
function.
I'm finally getting good at that, and by good I mean like I'm able to get health insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Truthfully, I do deal with that,
Mhm.
and so when I was like finally out on my own and having to do my own taxes, I would just have a cloud of anxiety around me because I was always thinking about them.
Mhm.
And to the point where like for 2016, I just like let it pass
Because of Trump.
because,
You couldn't get past it.
I just was like, whatever, I'll file an extension.
Mhm.
Like I just kept saying I was going to file an extension, not filing extensions until
Yeah.
finally I did, you know, and it just was year after year. It was trauma after trauma of being a 1099. That's why I literally have a joke about that where I'm like, can I not sleep because it's a full moon or I'm a 1099 during tax season?
Yeah, that's funny.
Because literally
It's relatable.
I can't sleep when I'm thinking. And so when I was a 1099, I just having to go through my bank statements. And one time my mom was helping me and she was like, lots of trips to the liquor store on here. And I'm just like,
no.
I feel like I'm literally getting an autopsy right now.
Is it worse to get audited by the IRS or your mom?
My mom,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I'd rather pay a monetary value to the IRS
Yeah.
and go to actual jail
Yeah.
than the emotional value I have
Shame
to put into
jail's
that
way
and the
worse.
shame jail I end up in.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily I have a tax person now and I don't have to go to mom.
I've long been a 1099 human. Actually, I've since 24 or
Yeah.
something. So I've been about this life.
Yeah.
But it's every year the stress gets lesser because I have like a good tax person now.
Yes, that's what really helped. Like two things happened. I got a new job where I became a W-2, and I have a little 1099 stuff just like by the nature of comedy, and like that to me is a blessing
Right.
because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that shows that
There's a pride in that
there's
as well.
yeah, absolutely. And so the bulk of my income, luckily, is just like a few forms, and I don't have to comb through every fucking purchase on my credit card, which in and of itself is something where I can shame spiral, where I'm like, what the fuck was I buying?
Right.
Where was I Ubering to? Like,
Right.
ugh,
Right.
God, it's a hell.
I don't like to take that responsibility, but I will say last year that it was satisfactory that like my accountant, it was the first year she was like, well, we're gonna have to call you a comic.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She was like, that's your main job
Yeah,
now, and I was like,
that's the
oh,
profession.
we did it, Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia, shout out to her. Love her.
I'm sorry, listeners, but this guy's very cute right now.
Yeah.
If we can do a zoom in, I don't know if the
I don't know
camera's
if
getting
he's
that.
in frame.
If he's not in frame, that's criminal because the
Yeah.
way he's got the head on the little arm, that's actually exactly how I sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're a stomach sleeper.
I am a stomach, but I'm like a twisted stomach sleeper.
I'm a twisted stomach as well.
Are you
I
a-
always have to have an arm up.
Can I ask you this? This is part of the 30. I do an arm up is big for me, or like an under the pillow.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere,
Yeah.
or usually on Alex's.
Never on my side.
I always
That's
feel a
where
little
I'm
better with a
most
handful of titty.
comfortable.
I just feel safer.
It's like a pacifier.
Sometimes she'll just put it. She's like, all right, fine. I can't sleep. But 30, like I have these, and it's such, it's hack, but my neck is never going to be the same.
Oh, yeah. I got something for that.
It's just, do you actually?
Yeah.
I think we might have talked about this, but I get these these neck headaches now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's like a tension headache.
It's a tension
Yeah.
and I sleep and I wake up
Yeah.
and I just am like, it was bad for a while where I was like, oh, I can't really turn it, and I'm out of that now, but like, I'll get these fucking headaches, bro.
Yeah.
And I got this special pillow. I got special sleeping pillow
Yeah. Specifically for that.
for that.
Okay. I have two things for you. I have a neck extension thing.
Ooh,
that
yeah.
blue thing right there.
Yeah, I actually might want to try that
that
before I head
got
out.
on TikTok Shop.
Oh yeah, you know, I've definitely that's come
Very-
across my feed.
Yeah, yeah. It had come across my feed so much, and I had such neck pain that I finally was just in a space of desperation.
Is there a marathon outside?
Someone's
Is there a
doing
race?
something.
Yeah.
Maybe someone. I think someone's doing a fun run outside.
Somebody's doing longest keg stand.
Yeah. But I also, and people, I'm hesitant to ever bring this up to people that talk about having pain in their back and neck or really anywhere on their body.
Chiropractor?
No.
Oh.
Because when I say it's in your head, I don't mean to say you're making it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying there's credible resources out there that link what's happening psychosomatically to pain in the body, sort of like a body keeps the score kind of thing. Are you at all familiar with that?
No, but
Okay, so body keeps the score is like something happens to you, like we don't have memories from childhood.
Right.
Cognitively, we can't remember. Our body remembers.
So
Like
would
it's in
explain
our
like visceral reaction to something or
Yeah.
something, a smell or something that
Yes.
like you get afraid or something.
Yeah, like if you smell the smell of gasoline and all of a sudden, it makes you either happy or sad.
Oh.
Like, that could have been like, oh, my best memories were when I was hanging out with my dad in the garage, whatever.
I love the smell of bacon. My mom made amazing bacon.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm no scientist. I don't know anything. I'm an armchair therapist. But so I'm going to send you some, this, I think what would maybe help is this book by this woman, Louise Hayes, who has mantras that you can say to yourself when you are experiencing a kind of pain.
I love that, but can I tell you this?
Yes, please.
I am bad at a mantra.
I'm bad at a mantra.
I am an absolute liability when it comes to mantras. I can't do it.
Because you just forget, or
I will also forget. I'll do it for it's one habit I cannot keep, but I also it's like there's something.
I'm bad at habits.
I'm bad at habits, unless you're talking about the cool ones.
Yeah.
But
I'm good at bad habits.
I'm good at bad habits.
And I'm good at drinking water.
How about this?
It.
Also, I went to the doctor for the first time today, and I texted out. I should be in jail because I texted Alex, and I was like, they also did like they took my blood, so we're gonna find out if I have bad blood. In parentheses, Taylor's version. Jail. What was I saying? Habit. The mantras.
Habits.
My therapist has long been trying to get me to do it. Like the you're good, you're worthy, that kind of stuff. I can't do it.
Okay.
By the fifth one, I'm like, you're a pussy.
No, literally.
This is gay.
So, I have another suggestion for that.
Thank you.
I always, even if you are someone that likes to sleep in like silence, like you can't hear anything, I recommend having a YouTube track of very like quiet, where you can barely even hear it, but enough for your subconscious to hear it, of positive affirmations to fall asleep to.
I like the idea of that.
I know.
But that scares me. I am prone to night terrors and also sleep paralysis.
Oh,
so I fear little voices in the room.
Okay.
I just fear that.
Okay. I'm going to put a pin in that. I want to ask you about the sleep paralysis and all of that. So, the mantras, it's not something that you have to cognitively remember to do, but legitimately, like when you're having like neck pain, opening up the book or going to like, it bookmarked on your phone, like the screenshot on your phone of the mantra, and just making yourself say it a few times. And
when you feel pain?
When you feel pain.
What if it's a low, dull constant?
Low, dull constant, like.
So just all day I'm walking around with notes open?
You don't need to be doing it all day. And this is why I'm hesitant to even bring it up, because if your ego can't get past that you're doing something seemingly really dumb,
right?
It may
bless you, Joe. Joe, a little louder when you sneeze, please. Thank you.
He's gonna now come in here. I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry to our subscriber.
Just Joe disrupting the podcast as per usual. I'm lounging. I'm getting
comfy.
comfortable. Yeah, like if your ego can't get past what you're doing is really dumb, then that's a little tricky. But I also think that it's kind of like comedy. You just keep doing it, you're gonna get good at it.
You get good at it, yeah.
So, but listen, everyone's on their own journey. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I feel you on the neck pain thing. I really, really do. But I have a lot of instances in my life where I can correlate pains I'm feeling to something being amiss in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever had witchy pains? Like you can sense something's wrong with someone else? Like you get a tummy ache?
I literally had our guest last week. Check out the episode, Jessica Rotundi. She's a psychic healer.
I haven't seen her forever. How is she?
She's great.
That's great.
She's really great. And we were talking about this and how this Adonis before my eyes. And how I have experienced like a sort of knowing or a feeling. Like
Mhm.
I will say one thing about me is I am a pretty good judge of character. Like I think my friends sometimes find it annoying how like on point I can be
Right.
about people.
Right.
Where, you know, multiple times they've been like, Kelly said, don't like watch out for that girl, and I didn't. And
Right.
you know, I'll never not be nice to somebody,
Right.
but I always know who to keep an arm's length on. And
Right.
people have surprised me. I've been on
I
like
do
I've
like
been
being
wrong.
fooled because I'm very similar in that way, in
Yeah.
that sense, and it's nice to be wrong.
I like it's nice to be wrong when it
when
works
it's
out.
when it's the fun way.
Because
yeah.
when it's the not fun way,
yeah, that I hate.
everyone's fucking suspect
Right.
at that point.
Yeah, then you got to be.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, truly.
hmm
So, but I don't know. People are.
I do love being proved right, though.
You like proving people right? You
No,
like,
being proven right. When you're like,
oh,
when
oh,
you like, when you
oh.
you know those people in the scene that you've always been like, I don't know, but no, and then you have like an interaction or something. You're like, oh, so I was more than right.
The girls that get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like bottle and sell that feeling. Of
Yeah.
being proven
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't need. Here's the thing. That's the beauty of it. I don't tell anybody. I don't need to tell anybody.
Oh, no.
It's a little victory for
They
me.
all
For me
know.
to me.
They
I'm
all know.
I'm like, I like to just chalk it up in a win column for me. And old
Yeah.
Maxie's with W's.
Oh yeah. Just a little tally in the wins for me.
That's a yes. You're a witch.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. The depression going into 30.
Right.
Just go over that with me. Like
Here's the thing, and this is what's so interesting is I just love him. I can't stop looking at him. Going into 30, I was okay. I didn't love it. I was going into 30, I found myself comparing a lot where like I was like starting to panic about things, being like, well, I'm 28. This kid started at 23.
Yeah.
Look at all the things. They're like, now I'm actually, I can't play high school anymore. If I do one more year and I won't be able to be on the CW. And then it was just like, and I started having those very irrational kind of things. It's like, well, you started when you started, you're doing this now. And it's also like, you're way younger than a lot of people.
Right.
It also helped that a lot of my friends were like all of our mutual close friends, they're all like a year or two older than me.
Yeah.
So it's like that also helped because I was like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
these fucking losers are already 30.
Yeah, and it's like once again, I'm the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which felt nice. But
I do love being one of the younger ones in the group.
once I restarted therapy, which was great, and then because I stopped the medication and the therapy at the end of the pandemic, like towards the end of there, like 2022, like early 2022. Or like right when I moved back to the city, so it might have been spring 2021. I
You
stopped.
were just high on life.
I was like, I'm never gonna die. We're back in it. And then 2022, I got back into therapy towards the end of the year because I was like, we're not back in it.
Yeah.
I was like, what was I trying to prove? And then I restarted the medication shortly after. So like when after this 30th, because like I was coming to 30, and I feel like I felt like I made my peace with it. I was in therapy, and then I turned 30. And I had a wonderful party, which you were there
so
for.
lovely. It was
I
so
was
fun.
I was like, oh, so I'm like nailing this. I actually like conquered this. And then turning 30 of it all was definitely a factor, but I just flipped into this deep depression that I hadn't felt since I was like 25.
Yeah,
Or like since I was in my 20s, the early like my late 20s, like really going through it.
Because, obviously I don't know the inner workings of your life, but if you look at it just from like, the Instagram perspective of it all.
Right.
Beautiful girlfriend.
Right.
Great apartment.
I know.
Budding comedy career.
Thank you.
Like, really, just everything on the up and up. So did you feel like...
That's how I knew it was so dark.
because
Because
you're like,
there were these moments, and I was like, I'm also like, I'm happy to be an adult. Like I've built pathways for myself to hopefully get out of these things. So it was earlier this year where I was like, I'm going to the gym. I'm still eating right. I have Alex. I have my friends. My career is on paper going well. Why do I hate my act and myself, and I feel bad, and I can't feel good, and I have no motivation, and it's like it was really demoralizing because there was like a period like for a few months where I was like, I just hated my act.
oh, it's
I
a
felt
really bad
feeling. I hated. I felt self-conscious of it. I was like, well, I don't even have a tape where I can't do crowd work within 5 minutes, and I'm like, I was losing my mind, and the ideation started to come back and all that kind of stuff, and that's when the medication came back into play.
Nice.
So in a way, it's kind of the best thing to happen. 'Cause
Yeah.
now I would say confidently, I've never felt so good.
Oh, that's amazing.
I know. So
I love that. That's
darkest
beautiful.
before the dawn. Boo boo.
And
If you're listening, there's tiny fireworks going off in the room.
I'll edit in some fireworks.
Thank you, in post.
I'm working on the. I'm a one-woman show here, and we are getting good at the editing skills.
Hell yeah. Do you do cuts and stuff?
I'm trying to.
That's great.
We're a one camera
Well,
operation.
you can start adding a second cam.
I know I can, but I have to get the second cam.
Well, you have Joe, no?
I do, but he's not always here. And
Oh, nice try.
and but I am doing more of like inputting like pictures and cutting in videos because before each episode, not to get too behind the scenes, but before each episode, before each interview,
right,
I have like a 15 to 45 minute chunk of just me. Sort of like a ode to the
Pete Holmes
beginning of the podcast. Sort of like an ode to the beginning of the podcast, or like the initial iteration of the podcast where it was just me. And I just like that template of podcast.
It's fun
because I feel like I'm the face of it. So you get like 20 minutes of me, and then we go into the interview.
You're the star. At best, I am co-lead. Maybe the best guest actor.
You're the kind of guest where like on a sitcom when they walk in, you like walk into the scene and the whole live audience has to like stop and applaud for a good 45 seconds.
That's the sweetest thing that anyone's ever said about me, and I'm gonna take that to the grave. That one's a core memory.
Absolutely.
But I love that when you walk in and you're just like,
yeah,
you're hammering it up. You're like, there's nothing. Nobody says anything. You're just like,
yeah, and it's just in the background like
it's
people,
me.
and you're like.
That was me.
Hooray!
That was me entering a room in college.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about like feeling confident and that really feeding your ego.
Right. Yeah. But I needed that so much.
I lived, and I still do, in a certain extent, based on us doing comedy. I live for external validation.
I mean, yes, of course, that does mean everything. But I will say, recently, and I can't tell enough people about it. I read Rick Rubin's book, recommended to me by several people.
This was good.
I read it by. I was recommended by Jake. Shout out Jake Velasquez, Chris
Who
Metcalf.
also has a great career happening.
Great career happening, and creatively, I think I was loving his attitude about comedy lately, and like he recommended this book because I was like, I had never. You remember when you were first started and you loved the craft? You first were like learning and you were writing and you were so fucking
excited to get out after. You love going to open mics.
Notebook. I never liked that, but
in the first 2 years it was fun.
It was. You're right. I loved Gladys's room and all that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I lost that somewhere along the way. Like I wasn't like I never really like did a lot of like research. Like growing up, like I liked stand up, but I was never like never like obsessed with it. Like I listened to the podcasts and I knew stand up, but I wasn't like fucking a child of the art, you know? So I wanted to do something more creative, like actually like reading a book that wasn't like they went to the house in the summer and there was a murder.
Yeah.
Which is usually all I read.
Totally.
But of which I just picked up 2 books that are exactly that. But I bought this book, so it's like the art of creativity, like a way of being or something. One of those kind of titles, and it is incredible. It's just like it's all about changing up the way you look at, just like the way you approach everything.
I'm going.
And it's such a sing-songy. If you're an audiobook early, I'm not. But Chris said that it is even better because it's like. Because the way it's written, there's like meditations and like in betweens, and then he hits like these like little things like, between every chapter is like a limerick or some shit where it's like. But the book itself, it's very sing-songy language. You have to get past it. At least I had to get past in the beginning where it was like, you know what I mean? That saying the same thing over and over, just flipping the words and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But then after a while, you fall into this rhythm, and it's like, oh, it's a different kind of feeling, and I just. The biggest takeaway for me, which has gotten me to a really happy place right now, and it was exactly what I needed to read based on where I was earlier, was like the first audience is you. They're the one that, you know what I mean? Like impress yourself do the art for the art's sake, and if something's not working, it's like just like look at it from another way and try something else. And it just like is like. It took so much pressure off of it by calling attention to it, which is I should have known because it's my solution to anything I have anxiety over is all it ever takes. But it was nice to read, and I really recommend it.
What was the name of the book again?
The Art of Creativity, A Way of Being.
By Rick Rubin.
by Rick Rubin.
Okay, amazing.
Who's a music producer.
Yes.
But the way he writes it, it applies to literally any creativity. Like, I recommended it to a designer friend of mine. I was like, you got to read this, because she was like, I was like, you gotta.
Okay.
You gotta get into it.
Okay, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Required reading.
Required reading.
Have it ready for the next episode.
Do a book report in the comments.
Yes. Use key SEO words. So
Do you have comment girlies? Like,
Not
and are
yet.
you doing this a la Rich Apple? Are you doing the foot thing for him that he's doing? Were you doing the wiggles for?
Oh no,
the
is that a Rich Apple thing?
you don't know the Apple Hour foot fetish pod?
No. Oh man.
Shout out.
I have done Apple Hour.
Did he make you take your shoes off?
No, but that's my my go-to whenever I go into anybody's house.
You take a shoe off.
I can't help it. I used to live with an Asian girl.
Flex.
Shout out
Brag.
to Jess. Shout out to Jess.
Jess.
Dear friend of me.
That's the girl
Yes,
I
you
was
know
talking
Jess.
about. That I was like,
Oh
wasn't
my-
there a shared roommate that you guys both had
Oh
that
my
you guys
God,
were
that
both
is
friends with?
so
I was said
funny.
Joan, Jackie.
No, Jess was my roommate.
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
But she was friends with Claire as well, no?
through me.
Oh, just to be clear,
Yeah.
she was Kelly's friend.
Well, because Jess is in a comic. I've known Jess since college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
she was at your haunted house birthday?
Yes. No.
Ugh.
No. Yes, she was. She was actually. Or, I'm trying to think. Was she in Hawaii at the time? I don't know.
That,
She
by
was
the
all
way,
over.
is one of my favorite nights of last year.
Wasn't
I
it
had
so fun? Hey, we got
I had
another birthday coming up.
So much. I can't wait. First of
Yeah.
all, let's do something spooky. Let's do something
That's what I was
fun.
thinking.
I loved it. Well, May and I famously, and we all did
Yes.
a little mushroom.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Little gummy.
Before the haunted house was a choice, I think May and I did overdo it.
Yeah. No, same. I
but-
think we all kind of did.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting choice because luckily I went through with Claire, who was like negging it. She had the opposite
Yeah.
reaction
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
She was like, "What are you gonna be scary, you fucking pussies?" Which I needed to be a part of because if I was by myself, I would have been like, "Oh, I'm pissing my pants," because I famously walked through the door with May next to me. And then I go, "Ooh, this is getting scary." I turn around, she's gone.
Gone.
She left at the entrance.
Yeah.
She
but
left at the entrance.
Before we even got into the haunted house,
The
literally the lobby, like where they're like, "Get in line," you know, they're like hazing you. They're like, "Get over there."
She
you know?
bailed.
Yeah, she was like, and the guy in costume breaks character and goes, "It's really not that bad." And she goes, "Nope."
I'm out.
So she leaves. Now we're like downtown. We're over kind of near Financial District, which gets really scary.
It was
night.
way scarier
She
outside.
sends a photo to us. She's like, "Get over to where I am now. I'm terrified."
Mm-hmm.
There is a random person dressed up as Elmo in the middle of the street.
No.
I'll include the photo right here. Bing. It was so scary. Not part of the haunted house.
took
was
it, right? She
blocks
sent that photo.
away. She took
Oh,
it and was like, "Now I'm looking at this fucking guy." I'm like, "You should have stayed by the
Yeah,
haunted
she was
house."
just walking around the dark streets of Fide-Eye,
Yeah, like-
which was way more dangerous than Blood Manor.
Blood Manor is paid actors.
I will say I had a lovely night. That was wonderful, but I had to go straight. I
Yeah, you
exited. I
did.
was running late just because like Blood Manor. There's a wait.
Yeah.
I had to go straight. I left the fucking psychedelic of it all. Like there was a lot
Yeah.
of neon. There was too much light involved.
Yeah,
with
it was a lot. Yeah.
I walked out into the Uber straight to New York Comedy Club and on stage because I was running late
Oh
for
my
so
God.
there was no breath
no-
in between mushroom haunted house experience
Yeah,
into
I
that.
forgot you had a set
But
after.
I had such a fun. I had such fun sets that night because I literally when I was riffing, being like, I just had a fucking day.
Damn, I wish I could see the tapes of those. It was probably
I
so fun.
do have them and they're blurry, but that would have been Clip City if they weren't
Yeah.
like literally the blurriest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Of course.
What were we saying? Oh, your birthday. We loved it.
That was fun.
Or what? Do you have any ideas this year?
So I was thinking, like, do I do a day like where we go to like a bar where football is playing, or do we do like Blood Manor?
I feel like, is that us? Are we?
I know.
People?
We're not. I know.
Is that us?
I was kind of considering like my like friends from New Jersey, you know,
Okay.
but
and God bless them.
God bless them.
And
they
when it's
were
their
there.
birthday, we'll go to and we'll go.
Yeah, and they were there at Blood
Actually, I
Manor
met some
too.
lovely Jersey people.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
really are great.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll figure it out. But yeah, maybe we'll do another haunted house action. I'm
Mhm.
booked more this year.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
hell
my
yeah.
Saturday nights are a little bit too
It's
busy.
tough to work around.
Yeah, but we'll make it work, you know.
A weekday haunted house could be fun.
A weekday haunted house could be fun.
Or like a weekday. What are other haunted things?
hay rides.
Hay rides.
Haunted
I actually
hay
walked by a
rides.
haunted escape room the other day.
Oh,
which feels-
I've never done an escape room.
I have done it twice or thrice.
Mhm.
It's cool to hate, like a pickleball.
Yeah.
I've done
I
it.
don't hate them.
I've only done it with my family, but for some reason we are giggling like little girls in that room. We fucking have so much fun when you open up and we've never solved one. We are 0 for 2 or 3, but boy, do we have a blast.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that sounds fun. Okay, speaking of demons, sleep paralysis.
Right.
Tell me about it.
Okay. Have you ever had it? Have you had the pleasure?
So I think I've had maybe one experience where it was a really weird, almost like an acid flashback
Ooh.
kind of.
Like a past life?
It was.
What is an acid flashback? Like Vietnam?
Like when, like flashback to a time when you've done.
A trauma?
Like, no, like it's like. I don't think that the flashback was anything that I've ever experienced in my life, but it felt like being on a
So
psychedelic.
it's a fake memory?
Well, it felt like being on a psychedelic. So it was like a dream on a psychedelic.
Ah.
Like, but I hadn't done any psychedelics. Like, it was like I went to sleep.
Were you in a period of high stress?
Yes, I was
Yeah.
graduating college.
Yeah,
And
that'll
I had been drinking a lot, you know.
I don't see what could have connected.
I had my whole body was in a rash from psoriasis.
Good,
It was
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like it was
Healthy
definitely a stress induced thing, I would say.
Right, yeah. So mine certainly was the first time I had it. That's why I asked.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm into all things like weird and creepy, but the sleep paralysis thing, I almost don't even want to like read about sleep paralysis because
Right.
it's almost like the dark forest theory where if I go and I find
tracks it, yeah.
like comes it comes and destroys me.
I've had that worry and thought, and after the first time I had it, I was afraid to go to sleep for a while.
Oh my
Like,
god. So
it
when was the
bad.
first time you had it?
So I was 22, just out of college. Similar. I was prone to a night terror for sure, and very vivid dreams. I also had those classic like witchy deja vu, like the where like
yeah,
you know
I've
those
had that.
dreams where you have. And I was just was I talking to you about this?
No.
It feels like a conversation we would have had, and we were destined to have it. But you know those dreams where you have like a minute scene of your life, and you're looking at it through your live, and you're like, that's weird that I just had a dream of me talking to my mom with Chris Metcalf in my kitchen, being like,
weird.
that's insane. That would
Yeah.
never happen. And then like 3 months later, Chris Metcalf's in my kitchen, and we're
Yeah,
having like
almost
I'm
like a
talking.
premonition.
Yeah, it's like it was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we watched Charmed, so we know that.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Phoebe's. Shout out Phoebe Halliwell. It's her power. And levitating 6 feet.
Proper social distance.
That's what the power was for. Girlie's ahead of her time.
Talk about premonition.
But so I've always had that kind of stuff. But I had just broken up with my girlfriend from college. We broke up. It was like on and off again. But this one felt real. We got back together. But
I would be 22.
it was exactly. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
And then this was also, I was 22. This was before I started therapy. This was before I really learned how to deal with that. Before I learned that it was anxiety. I used to tell people, I was like, I don't really get anxious. Meanwhile, I was just constantly in a state of fight or
I
flight.
don't get anxious because I always am.
I am anxiety
There's nothing to get.
personified. Yeah. Just constantly like juggling on a fucking unicycle. But it started with a night terror where all night I was waking up and I wasn't waking up. So in the sense of like I was in a loop, I was in a nightmare loop.
Oh my
where
god!
I would
you
wake
up
up
and not wake up.
I would wake up
That's
and
never
I would be
happened.
like,
Let's maybe happen once.
so it was all night, and I was sweating. Like it was like literally, it felt it could have been in your brain. I don't know. It could have been like fucking 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But
But
it felt like an all night, just a slog, a battle.
Yeah.
When I woke up the next morning after all of this, I was so fatigued.
Yeah.
It felt like I went to war. But I kept waking up, and it was like I would wake up, and I would be in different scenarios, and then I was waking up in my bed, and my mom would come upstairs and cut my throat, and like it would just keep doing that until finally I woke up, and I was like, thank God, I know I'm awake now. But I couldn't move. And then I realized I can't move. And I'm like this, and I'm on my stomach, and I can't move. And I'm just looking in the corner of my room, and I was still at home for the summer right before I moved to the city. And I lived in like, we had like this loft, like attic, like room, which is like big, and it's like deep. So I could see in the corner of the room across from my bed, and there's just a shadow, like a demon figure
Jesus.
in the corner of the room in a robe. And it just lifts up an old bony hand at me, and it's just kind of shrouded, and it's just pointing at me. And I'm just staring face to face with this thing for about, I don't know. It felt like 15 minutes.
Right.
It could have been 3 hours. It just was like just
Could have been 2
absolute
seconds.
terror because you can't pull yourself. You
Yeah.
can't pull yourself away. All that kind of stuff. And then I finally woke up to low rider is a little. George Lopez is jumping up. Just George Lopez jumping up. Low rider is a little. I used to fall asleep to Nick at Night exclusively.
I relate.
I wish I had cable just for that reason. Because
Yeah,
sometimes, because like
yeah.
I like a little bed before, a little sleep, a little TV
Yeah.
before bed,
Yeah,
especially a little palate cleanser.
Yeah, I can't fall asleep unless there's a Girls Gone Wild commercial playing in the background.
Jersey. But yeah, so that was, and I didn't go back to sleep that night, and there was for a long time. I've had it a few other times since, and I don't have to go into those stories, but it was.
Wow.
That's
terrifying.
To this day, in the back of my mind, every once in a while before I go to bed, I'm like, come on, I don't hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
There are some people that get it more often, I feel.
Mhm.
Like I've only had it a handful of times.
Right.
That's enough. Because, I mean, I
Yeah.
also, like, I'm also opposed to, like, location-based night terrors. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Like
there
when
are
you're
some,
away from
there
your
are
home
haunted
base.
beds for me.
Yeah.
There's, shout out Kathy, my roommate. She, and best pal, you know her.
Yes.
I think you guys connected because, like, you know when like good people meet, like good
Oh, yeah,
energies,
yeah,
and
you're like, oh, I
like
know.
you guys are gonna just fucking, like,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
vibe.
like kind of like just like I don't know, like you know in the body, like when cells just kind of like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
match
yeah,
up.
yeah.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and but she has a house in Newport, thank God for wealthy friends.
Yes.
And
love them.
that we go to every summer. And there's this one bed in the house. If I stay, usually we're all together in the top floor. And if there's one bed in this house, I will have the worst night terror of my life.
You
I
know
have
what that
had.
is.
I once Ben and May, they still make fun of me to this day because I was talking in my sleep, no,
Oh.
and I was just having this most terrifying
like
dream.
to be made fun of for
Yeah.
something when you're so defenseless. It's not like you were like walking with a tray of iced teas and tripped, and they like
Yeah.
are you know
Yeah.
constantly beating up on you for that. It's
No,
like
they were like,
you
you
were-
were whimpering
yeah,
in your sleep.
You were a little
I was like,
child.
I was being hunted through the streets
Yeah.
by an old couple.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
It's so funny.
I don't know if it's like a cursed bed situation or
Right.
what, but I literally like have convinced myself that I have the power to see ghosts because there have been certain
believe that.
hotels and like literally like there have been certain hotels or motels where I like am like I'm being just terrorized because I think that there's like ghosts in the room.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this one trip I went to Punta Cana with like my college
Spring break?
friends. It was a post like we just all graduated.
Oh, hell yeah, all inclusive.
All
Punta
inclusive,
Cana.
we just
I
graduated.
Love that. Those trips were fun. The
It
just
was
graduated group
amazing.
trips.
Oh yeah, just graduated like and it was like organized through the school.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So it was like
Did a lot of people go then?
it was
Like that's more fun. You want a reunion quicker than
yeah,
5.
it was literally like it was like multiple fraternities and sororities.
Oh, that's cute.
Like it was amazing.
That's great.
And there were people not even in Greek life that
Woo.
just yeah. And so I remember like missing class to get tickets to go on this trip because it was like tickets are gonna only be like Wednesday at 3 p.m. you know, and I was like, well, even though I need to go to class to
Right.
you know graduate, I'm gonna get these tickets to Punta Cana. Anyways.
Sorry, 1 sec. Hey, Joe,
Joe,
can you let Mike in? He's downstairs.
can you let Mike in? We're gonna wrap up soon.
Mike Bramante, he's downstairs. Can you let him in? Hey, Joe, we love you.
I hope Mike wasn't waiting long.
No, he just texted.
Okay, good,
I just
good,
had
good,
a
good.
feeling.
Yeah, there you go. A knowing, a buzz in your pocket, if you will.
Yeah, I just had this like buzz or something. That's so funny. Boy, this episode is Clip City. Let me tell you that.
Literally, my mind is reeling from all the
You're,
reels.
you're cutting. You're cutting.
Cut. Yeah, and I promise you, this one hotel room was fucking haunted.
No,
It
I
was
believe that.
Myself and my friend Judy in this room, and I can't explain it. I just remember going to sleep every night and not being able to because it literally felt like there was like a fucking witch flying around my room. And I
Right.
was not on any substances
Right.
besides
Yeah.
alcohol, you know.
Well, that's fucking medicine. Now you go to bed.
Yeah. And then and I said to my friend Judy, I'm like, you're not experiencing this? I'm like, no. And I'm like, well, I need to go sleep in Jess's room because
Right.
I can't. And she's like, well, now you're gonna leave me in the haunted room.
Right,
I'm like, but
yeah.
you're not experiencing anything like I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
So yes, I don't know. And I also have experienced when I am. Don't worry, the mics aren't picking it up. It's fine. Someone will smother him in there. No, I have experienced like when I'm not in my own bed and I go somewhere where like that's when like I'll wake up screaming from a dream.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or
Like,
and then you
I'm
get
a
fucking
big sleep talker.
dunked on by Ben and May.
Literally, I'm a sleep talker.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm a sleep whimperer.
Yeah.
I'm a sleep. I'll talk. I'll be like a bit of just like ever since I was like a kid.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I actually did a little sleep walk in conversation when I was
I've done
very
one.
very young, but
Yeah.
I was famous for it.
Yeah.
But now it's just like the kind of whispers and stuff. Can I ask you this? And this is something that I've been enjoying talking about on stage more, just kind of like, because like I bring up sleep paralysis a lot now
Yeah.
on stage because it's like I had like one fun joke. I was like, I hope people get it, but now I bring it up and you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
People love chatting about it. Do you believe in? Because there's also a show that I was watching for a little while called Evil,
Okay.
CBS procedural.
You love.
I
a CBS
recommended it.
show. Yeah.
It was like about like the psychiatrist in this religious like truth finder, basically for people that have like exorcisms and that kind of stuff that claim things. He goes and finds out it's real, and she goes with him, and she has sleep paralysis. And one of the big questions of this whole first season is whether or not it's an actual demon that's haunting her or not, because it's like it could be, it could not be.
Right.
My question for you is: do you think sleep paralysis could be connected to demonic forces?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, and I would love to have someone on the podcast that knows more. And I'm sure my TikTok for you page tonight will be all this topic because our phones listen to us.
Send me the
and
links.
I will. What I have to say is that the mind is a very powerful thing.
Right.
And so I would be more inclined, and this is on the basis of nothing,
Right.
that the sleep paralysis demon is a trauma
Wow.
manifesting itself.
Right.
As a bony-fingered, man in a top hat.
And
cloak.
not even necessarily as a past trauma always, because I feel like
A
that one was like
fear.
that current moment.
Yeah.
I think I felt
Because-
guilty
Yes.
for the breakup, and that was my own self.
Right.
It was probably one of those things at the TV show where they have the bad dream and then they lift the hood and it's actually Ben
Yeah.
Savage
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. Evil.
Do you remember that episode? The Boy Meets World Halloween episode. There's one episode that I think is the best episode of television
Yeah.
of the time.
I know the one you're talking
That's
about.
maybe that's your birthday. We're all coming over.
Yes.
We're popping that episode on.
I do love just like finding the Halloween or like Christmas themed episodes
And
of
watching
regular
those,
shows.
just like watch New Girl
and just-
Christmases.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I get
the
it.
Office Christmases, the
Yeah,
Office Halloween.
that's great. It really that gets me in the spirit more than anything.
I
of
agree.
any holiday.
I agree.
Yeah.
Everything else feels very forced.
Right.
But and also like the whole like trauma doesn't have to be something that necessarily happened to you. It can also be a perceived fear.
Right.
So like, even if your parents created the most safe environment for you growing up, if you felt for whatever reason
Right.
unsafe about something, that's a
Right.
perceived fear. And it sucks for parents because
Right.
they're like, I want my kid to not have trauma, but it's like, I can't help. I'm a little kid with an imagination, and
Right.
certain things have happened that are out of all of our control that make me anxious or fearful in this way. So I think
Right.
when it comes to the demon aspect or like just sleep paralysis happening to you, it's more of a trauma response than anything else.
Wow.
But that's not to say I don't believe in demonic forces.
Gotta keep watching this show. You
Yeah.
might be right.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Well, this was amazing. We have to wrap.
What a pod.
Seriously, you have been a gem of a guest. Thank you so much.
This is what happens when two self-appointed therapists get together.
Yes, I know. I do feel like I should charge some of my friends on Venmo
For sure.
for
yeah.
lending my
sure.
beautiful, beautiful years.
Mhm.
Where can people find you?
At Max and Gazillion on socials. Instagram is TikTok is where I'm most active. If you're on YouTube, I have a channel I haven't posted in 1 calendar year.
Okay.
But I might. I have all these clips that I might.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't do it.
Shorts.
And I'll tell you, you know what? I do know. I'll admit it. I do know why. People on YouTube are fucking mean.
They are,
12-year-olds
but I love
will say the
the
worst thing
engagement.
about you. I don't like it. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
But that's where you can find me. Also, We Were Had, if you want to see me on more podcasts.
Yes. Very
With
funny.
Ben and May, the people who made fun of me. We're
Yeah.
currently on an undefined absence or
Hiatus. Yeah.
One day I think we'll come back to it. I do genuinely believe that.
I think We Were Had is so special.
I love that show.
And I love it very much. And just because it's in a hiatus right now doesn't mean it needs to be, for forever. But even if it doesn't pick back up, the back catalog of We Were Had is really funny. I highly recommend. And yeah, guys, everything is in the description of the show. So you just head there. You can find all the links. And until next time, have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.